Hello, my travelers, or my bookworms or heroes. Oh, let me just make this a little bit more so where you can see it. It is me, Greer, your storyteller. Alright. I'm aware that things may be a little bit choppy right now, but that is what we're testing today. So, for this art stream, basically what's going to happen is we're going to have a few prompts that I've randomly picked out. I haven't quite looked at them much yet. I only vaguely know what they are. Plus an alignment. Then those three prompts, we're going to mash them together to create a creature, NPC, mage, who knows? We'll kind of discuss it first and get a feel of it. I won't necessarily post any reference pictures on screen. That way, if anyone else wanted to do this themselves, they can take the prompts and do something with that. And if you do that, share it on Twitter. You can tag me, or I may post up a little art tag later on after the stream to which you could put it under. I'm specifically giving an alignment to these, as giving an alignment kind of gives a feeling. So if we went something, oh, that's too big. If we went with something that was chaotic evil, usually you're like, oh, they're very angry and fearsome. Oh my. And if you have a character that is more lawful good, they tend to be just cheery and nice. Necessarily, that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of people like to do something differently, where they have a character that is fearsome, but they're actually one of the nicer ones, perhaps like an ogre that's a bartender or anything of the sort. Quite frankly, you'll see that often in tabletop RPGs, where a DM wants to spook their party members by having a fearsome creature that's actually good, or vice versa, a good-looking creature that's actually very evil. It's oftentimes one of the more fun things to do. In this situation, we're just going to keep it simple. Actually, I'm going to keep that out. Just erase it. We are going to use the little crown tool, because it's just fun. Here are... Ooh. Here's the prompt. We have a sensitive fan, a western grib, dragon urum, and chaotic neutral. So 2 of these things are actually fauna. No, flora. I always get it mixed up. The fauna would be the western grib, which is a bird. It's just do this. Bird. I think this is more of a flower, if you want to be accurate. And this one is a plant, because it is a fern. Chaotic neutral is the alignment, so we will want to have little things that are 50-50 on what its appearance is. So I'll use a different layer here, and we're going to trim off a little bit of ideas. That's good. So, because we're going with these 3, Most of it's very small, so we are going to do, or I am at least going to do a smaller creature. With a western grib. Bird. Green plant. Green. Red eyes. For the grib. And a dragon. Okay. So we like to pick things that stand out when we create our creatures. So I'm actually going to be funny and look up on my mobile device. Let's see. I won't again post any pictures up here for reference, as anyone can do this little thing, and it'd be more interesting if you look beyond references. Okay. So we have a violet red, like a wine color, and we have horn. Yes. They're fairly decent sized, but compared to a humanoid, it still would be a bit smaller. And the western grib is a water bird too, so water bird. It's more of a black and white as well, but I don't really care to put that down. I think that's fine. Oh, some of them look like spaghetti. They're very angry looking creatures. I love it. Sensitive burn. Now with sensitive ferns, usually they're also called a few different things. Hold on. So it's pretty much, because I've done this before, if they are touched, they start to die or close in. That's why they're sensitive. So perhaps for the chaotic neutral aspect, we can have it that they play dead. Because then you never know what they're going to do. There's not much we can pull from the looks of it, despite maybe the shape of the fronds. So they're like more like this. That was a very odd, sort of font to use, but that's fine. That's pretty much the level of little planning I do. I write down small things that I deem as important parts to it. So we have something that will likely be smaller of a creature due to the fact most of these items are small. It looks like the Dragonorum may come up to someone's shin. However, that's still technically small. Then with the grib, it's a water bird. However, I don't think I'll I'll put that towards the thing. Green for the western. Okay. I feel like I know what I'm doing now. So I will hide that for now. I'll keep the other one there. Well, no, actually I'm going to do it this way. No, I'm going to keep them both for now. Alright. So if we want something that more plays dead and is chaotic neutral, let's say the pretty, like, if this is... No, I'm not going to do a comparison yet. Usually a lot of people like to start with the bean shape. However, I don't necessarily do that. I like to just do circle. A right circle, and then with the bird sort of wings. Actually, so this will be pretty fast paced, so I'll try to break it down. Usually when I'm scrapping anything or doing something, I do it pretty quick. But in this situation, we want to slow things down a bit. Especially since this is a test stream, to make sure my settings are all dandy. So, simple circle for the base of it. It has a very noodle neck. So, let's get it a little noodle neck sort of shape. I don't know what I want the head to look like yet. However, the one thing I did enjoy between the fern and the autumn is that they have this sort of look. It's like this. Except the dragon armor also has the horn. So, okay. So we're gonna do a shoulder here. So I want to go ahead and get the idea for the wings. Wings have about 3 parts to them. However, when they are held to the side, it looks like one little chicken wing. And because of the sloping look, I want to kind of do a little bit of a do this. Let me look up the dragon aurum again. When I'm scrapping these, I don't just put them down. I have to kind of think logic-wise what would work, and then I kind of scrap it and then format it to look better. So let's look up dragon aurum again. Honestly, when it kind of slopes over, it means it kind of has a form like a sea slug. So perhaps we'll kind of go with the horn, but not really. Kind of have it as a divot. And then... So oftentimes when a creature has a spine or sort of a tail going, you can kind of think of it like a tadpole. Where a tadpole, you see the tail end, but you also see the fins around to help it go. In this case, kind of going off of the horn aspect of the dragon aurum, I'll say this part is more combined with it, like the spine, the tailbone, and this is more of the frilly tail bit. I wouldn't say it's more of a flight feather, but more like kind of like how a peacock has its tail feathers, but not in that display. I'm gonna keep it looking flat like a sea slug. So I think I'm gonna have body be a little bit thinner. Well, this part of the wing doesn't really matter, because if I'm going to remove this, so to give a little bit of shape. Okay. So we have a little bit of a spine. Feet-wise, I'm not necessarily so picky when it comes to a bird sort of creature. However, we want a horrible creature, yes? So I suppose you could say its feet would have more of like the gangly talons. The ones that look horrible and as if you will sort of retire if they do prick you. And I would say they're hidden under there. And because with the whole tail feather thing and the sensitive floof, I would say that it's kind of hidden by the floof. Its little chicken paws. That would be part of the chaotic part of it, I suppose, where you think it's either playing dead or this and that, and then it has actually gruesome talons underneath. Nope. I feel like we are dropping frames a bit, but that's okay. We're still trying to keep this fine. This is fine. Things will be buffering a bit, but that's fine. This is a test stream. And then whenever anyone can play it back, that'll be fine as well. Easy peasy. Now, we will have to do a head. And because we're going to go with the whole chaotic thing, instead of like the long beak that the grip has to pick up fishing and kind of going into sediment like this, I'm going to go with more of a tromper. When birds have chompers, they usually use the powerful beaks as a way to sort of break things open. A more chaotic neutral, especially if we're going for a hoarded creature, it'll be much more formal to have it to where it can break off some fingers or so. And then because I was really thinking about having a horn, it's going to have a singular pop. I don't want it to be too thick, otherwise our creature won't be able to kind of situate itself with its neck. Because I like the whole Dragonorum's sort of bit, I'm going to just give it a little bit of flair. No, I don't like the shape of that one. Alrighty. And just for me, when I look back at this, I'm gonna say about now, there are some dropped frames here and there, but it looks like things are still running smoothly regardless, especially because I'm doing a stream, art stream. If I were to be doing a gaming one, which I may, yeah. Don't even know if it's on off topic. If I do a game stream, I'm not sure if I want to do Final Fantasy 14 or a simpler game. I may do Final Fantasy 14 and just do the starting area. That way it's a little bit less gruesome for people, and that will definitely try out my settings to see if I can handle it. Because with future streams, doing something that's more RPG, MMORPG, or JRPG, I will be able to comment on it, as I do love my story. Especially with Final Fantasy 14, it's been a big thing for me. And that will be something fun to talk to you all about. I'm personally caught up in story in the expansions. However, that is something I never mind going back and doing. Okay. I may pause here and there, only for the fact that there are people talking in the house. And while I have put a noise gate, I'm still not sure if it'll pick up. So we'll see. Maybe we can kind of sneak this under. Where would this be? What if I had a big talons? Some big feet. Can I put it there? That kind of aligns with the spine and the hip. And if you haven't used Clip Studio Paint, because that is what I'm using, I'm simply just lassoing it. Oh, and then copy and pasting a new thing. So put that there. I'll go to the normal one. And move it over here. There we go. So we have a bit of a funky little thing. Let's see. Do I want to give him any patterns? Also, one thing I mindlessly did without saying, because I went on a rant about Final Fantasy 14, I wanted to kind of get the fern look. And by fern look, I add more fluff. Because when we do the coloring, this may be more of a flamboyant one. That being a flamboyant creature will more than likely ooh things that are going towards hunting or whatever. Also, I feel really bad now that I think about it. I don't think I'll be able to put captions on the stream manually. And I know how I talk is sometimes awkward. Also, I didn't want to put this forward because then, you see, unicorn concept is interesting. However, if something is flying, it's going to get stuck. Can you imagine there be like a wall or a tree and then it just sticks itself in there while flying? I would feel awful about that. This way, at least, if they're fighting and say they want to kind of say this is their face, they can kind of bat it. Just kind of slam their head around and stuff. And then having this little bit of, I don't know if you want to call them hair, but people would be less assuming of the creature. Whenever you have flamboyant creatures, especially because I am one of those DMs that will try to fool them, I will simply have an unassuming creature there. They would like to try and bully said creature, and then they get to the point where said creature whoops their butt. So I suppose the playing dead aspect with this is whenever it goes to play dead. You know, if it did roly-poly itself and ducks its head in to its wings, it will have its horn to kind of fight with. With this over here. So play dead will kind of be beneficial. And I would say that because it has the spine tailbone here, that makes it a bit easier to kind of navigate and move its parts there. Let me make this a little. Also, if you do like this music, definitely check out the original. The link is in the description for proper credit purposes. If you want a recommendation, the more popular video of the music while doing art alone at night is probably my favorite. I tend to like more calming sounds like that. Well, I say that, but I also listen to a lot of metal music. But that's calming for me. I'd fall asleep. If you think about it, this creature is a metalhead. It could just headbang and destroy people. I feel like another thing I want to add is that when it opens its... No, I don't like that shape. When it opens its beak, I kind of want to give it teeth. Because if you really think about it, some water birds do have rigid edges for teeth. Even common duck and goose tend to have the more serrated sort of teeth. It makes it easier for catching fish and everything because all they have to do is snap on it. But it's really not for chewing, it's more so tear up and then gulp. Then with this one, when he wants to gulp it down, he would just expand his gullet and it goes in. I don't necessarily think this one would work primarily in water, unless you want to use the excuse of, oh, but magic makes it easier. To which, honestly, as the one that is a witch and loves fantasy, I hate the argument of, oh, it just works because it's magic. Like, no, have a little bit of logic and reasoning to make the magic actually work. So, I would say it would be more so chaotic neutral because it fools people thinking it's like, oh, a harmless water bird, much like how unassuming people see a goose and think, oh, what a lovely little thing, I'm gonna go pet it. Yeah, don't do that. Especially if it's a goose or a swan. They will go after you. Especially the ducks, they're evil as well. This one, I would say, would lurk around waters, especially ones with not a muddy riverbank, but more so it's land and grass here, because if you have these grippers in mud, you're going to get stuck. And I want them to have grippers, not webbed feet like that. I'm kind of in the way, but this you can pretend is like a little riverbed or river, and it would have to be land, like grass. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna put grass instead of land. Grass. Having these sort of feet. The chompers, okay. Chompers. To bite of this way when their beak sort of snaps shut, because even if you sit there and have a caw, for example, or Indian redneck, there's actually quite a lot of parrots that are like, they're very docile and nice. However, their chompers can get off your pinky. They don't have chompers underneath though. For this one, it will have the chompers, or at least serrated teeth of sorts, like a duck would have. These serrated edges then would help with tear off. So if you got bit, say in a tabletop RPG sense, if you restrained to a grapple and you wanted to break free, say you did break free, you still would take like, I would say 2d4 piercing, only for the fact that, yo, if it takes off your finger, it's gonna hurt. And you can use the argument, like, if you are a level 1 character with only like, let's see, I think Druid had either D10 or D8 plus whatever. So you could have like maybe 12 on average health, because we're looking for a bonus as well besides the base. And if you took 8 at most and you're down to 4 HP, then you know you need to leave. Or you could also say that I can only do this so much on even though it has a big chomp, you can make it you could make a legendary action. No. You can make it to where they only really do that so often, and you kind of gotta adjust things. Like, yes, it may hurt, but it also has low HP, like... Maybe this up here, I'll just keep this here for reference. Let's say I could roll it, but I don't want to. Let's say that this creature, it's about, for an average humanoid human character, that's like, I don't know, average height. I'm personally short, so what average would be, like 5'8", 5'10". It would come up to your shin or knee, have powerful grippers and chompers. This is fine. And then I say if it scratches you, see, there's very simple, like, actual stats for stuff like this. However, not everything is just one tabletop. Some tabletops have different rule sets. And if we wanted to bring a more magical aspect into it, we could. Like, maybe they have a sort of bad breath scenario and kind of belch out something awful. Oh, horn attack. Oh, maybe the horn attack will be the special one. Could be really the one that one-shots them, if anything. Sort of like how a ray or something will attack with its barb. Could be like a barb situation where this can come undone because it gets stuck in someone's chest, right? And then it attaches. That, or like a bee. Oh, but no, not a bee, because I don't want them to die. No, and plus this takes up a bit of space. That would have been fun to have a projectile, but no. Nope. Okay. To make it easier, because if it gets stuck into someone, that's going to really hurt on the neck. So I would say it would have sort of a joint here. That way, like a reptile would, it can kind of dislodge itself and still have a lump. Almost like also how a deer or other sort of antler-esque creatures can shed. That way it's a little bit less frustrating for it. Okay, so defense position. No, okay, no. If it did a horn attack, I could be funny and just do the reverse of this. A 4d2. It's still max 8, but it sounds scary. No. I will be a bit of a jerk and make it a one-shot for 12 HP person. 3d4. And I would say this only works if they successfully puncture an area. So if I'm attacking someone with this creature and there was no way for the creature to flat up go to stab, and instead say they're doing a barrel roll defense position, this won't stab. So I wouldn't use this. If anything, I would do the 2d2 claw for this, for like scratching. However, this is more of a blunt rather than the claw. Because this would be... Ooh. I don't know if I want... This would make sense almost if it was piercing. No, I'm not going to get into specifics of piercing and not different damages. Otherwise, I will go a little bit too much on tangent, and this is more about the art segment. Alright. Now on to some colors. Okay, I know first and foremost, I do want red eyes. Because that just makes it spooky. Would you really mess with a bird coming at you with bright red eyes? No, you wouldn't. Beaks are usually the same formatted color of a yellowish keratin look. However, I'm going to make this a little bit brighter, and don't worry, I will zoom in. I kind of like doing basic colors and then zoom in. And I'm kind of gonna go with a little bit of a greenish pale for where the white was on the western grebe, just to get that fern color in there. And don't worry as well about colors. I am not the best when it comes to coloring, so I definitely use gradient. Because it's that awkward thing of things are different from your head to paper, and gradients still adjust things to kind of even out, so it's fine in the end. And I do want this wine color. This wine? Okay. Oh, too big. I don't know if I like how deep that is. Let me do it this way. Da, 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 da. But the gradients always help anyway, because if there's a part that doesn't look right to you, gradients kind of even things out, make it a little bit formal for you. Then who knows, you might like a more gradient look than what you started with. It's funny, I know color theory, and I went to a lot of creative schooling. However, things are very different when you actually get into the act. And I'm someone who doesn't like to act like I know what I'm doing. If anything, I try to adapt, knowing I know that I don't exactly get it. Because learning and constantly having the drive makes things a whole lot better for me. Constantly able to acknowledge my weaknesses, constantly able to try to improve. It makes things a bit better. I don't know if I actually kind of like this white and the pale green. However, I need something to offset the green so the green stands out. Okay, dragon arm. Yes. A stone grab. Yes. Sensitive food. Yes. I might just have to go with almost black. Because we want something that looks like it's supposed to be harmless, but with the chaotic neutral tendencies, just kind of does its own thing. And at least when you're coloring a creature, you don't really need any rhyme and reason of what you're doing. Some people like to have super hardcore logic. But sometimes you just want a funky looking creature. So the feet will be this sort of color, but I don't know if I want the keratin to look the same. Like keratin, usually you find in the claws and on the horns. Sometimes different fibers are used depending on the creature, and it would make sense because the beak. However, I want them to also stand out a bit. So the warning colors with creatures, warning colors would give this away too much. Warning colors are usually bright, warm colors. So something like orange, yellow, and then the infamous red. Whenever you see these warning colors in the wild and everything in nature, this is an alarm. That's why when you see something like a coral snake, red to yellow, people usually should know that that is very venomous. However, it's fairly small, and you would have to be bullying the poor creature to even get bit. Then there are creatures that have evolved to be similar in warm colors, because they know it's sort of like a warning, like I am either venomous or poisonous. If you eat me, I am poisonous. Venomous, if I stab you or bite you. Oh, this actually would be fun to have a venom on it. I know, that would be getting into some evil routes, and we're trying to keep this chaotic neutral. I mean, they're looking pretty neutral, right? Okay. I think for the fun route, but this palette, I can't really do much against this. The black tends to go with anything. The red is only getting away with going with the green because it's barely green. And even then, when I put a gradient, it'll most likely treat it as being white. Oh, we will see. I kind of wonder what would happen if I went with the blue. Because if you look at your little colors, you have reds are here, greens are here, blue is here. So they connect like that. But while they're against each other color theory wise, it doesn't always look pretty. Same thing with complementary color of green is purple. It doesn't always work, but in at least my case, with my hair on eyes, I just didn't care. Despite the green avocado eyes, I just really like purple. Therefore, I put purple dye in my hair. A lot tend to use purple and green as poison or toxic colors. that or it's very villain colors, like some very popular comic book ones. Or even a very good draconic sorceress. Okay, but we're not gonna make the horn. I may just go ahead and just make this a basic keratin color. But I want the claws to be different. So I'm gonna be funny and I will put the blue in. And I am going to use this blue. It's not a warm color to be a warning. However, if you see a creature with blue nails coming at you and they look like this, but have blue, cool colored nails, I would be a little bit worried. I think we can further this by having the blue sort of come into the coloring. That way, it's not totally different. You could say the fiber is much like a butterfly's wings. Different fibers with different materials in the wild tend to reflect white. You see this also with a common crow or raven, where they will be black here, but when the light touches, they have bluish colors or purple colors. Also, I'm going to only have the stream be an hour. And it works that way because it's about to storm here. Okay, I'm not liking that shade, so I do it like this. Can't really see it yet. Okay, that should be showing. And then I like to get a more popped version and go along the ridge. So with a bird's wings, their bone kind of goes like this. And so this part tends to be on the curve. So what I mean by curve, say this is a bone. The fur that goes over like this, or not the fur, the feathers, it kind of arc, and it arcs against sunlight and creates that effect. I have a blue gradient down here because even some feather tips where the feather tips tend to get fine and sort of sleek, and that kind of makes the gradient even more. The gradient doesn't necessarily work here. However, when I put a gradient over this, it'll take this and make it something else. And gradients are very good with trying to get a formal look to it. Alright. I think... Wait, you know what? Because I'm doing the pale green, I will also include some green into this gradient. I'll have the green more on the shoulder. I don't like that sparkle. It doesn't look as good right now. That's okay. This is fine. And to add a little bit of shading here for the butt, because this is going to flap over, so I'm going to actually make this stand out a little more where the spine is by coloring it a bit darker. Same with here, even though there's not a spine here. Kind of makes it bring out a bit more. That way it adds depth and the fact that, oh, there's something here, it's going to move. I might make these fit the blue. No, I don't. Anything, I make the tips a brighter blue, but you won't exactly see that. So I'm not going to zoom in yet. Tan detail, because I'm going to get the gradient going first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my color layer, duplicate it, put the opacity to about 50%. And now on Clip Studio Paint, if you go to the Asset library on the first screen when you join, there are a lot of free assets to use, or even bought ones with the clippies to get gradients, or you can make your own. So you're definitely going to see my gradients just fine. You're going to go to Edit, to Tonal Correction, and go down to Gradient Map, and it'll kind of look like this. I have the areas cut off over here because I didn't want it to interfere. Let me put this right here so you can see what I'm doing. I kind of flip through everything to see what I like more. So this is a really good one, Cinema Gradient. Whenever you see these ones and below are all ones I've gotten on the assets. You can either type them in or just look at the freebies, type in gradient, and you'll usually find them. Some do require credit, so that's why I'm also just freeforming showing them, because I'm not sure which ones did. Oh, nah. Okay, that one's a little bit funky. I like it. Usually I will combine multiple. This, I kind of like this. The fact that the black still retains sort of, it's supposed to be black, but it also gives it a bit of warmth. However, this is sad right here. It makes the green a bit that, and this was supposed to be blue. So I do want the blue to stand out, so I will try to find something else. These two are very good for depth. So with cinema, the reason why I like the cinema gradients is a lot of these you will find in different cinematography and different sort of movie sets. They kind of give a different appeal. And what I mean is these are very tonal. So it won't show very much on this, but if you were to use these, they offer different sort of depth. Depths. I can't say it. That D-E-P-T-H. I'm very bad at pronunciation. I definitely don't like that. Okay, I do like this. It still has the depth, but it also has it to where you can see the different highlights I wanted to stand out. And usually when I do something like this, I will use multiple gradients. At times I tend to merge the color layer with the line art layer to make the line art also part of the gradient, and it usually looks very nice. However, this time I'm not going to, because it's not more like an art piece, it's more for figuring this out. So I'll keep 16 and 9. I like these whenever it has the very pigmented gradient right here. If I'm ever doing art, say this is just my face, like you see right now. If I were to pick something like this, my eyes would pop more. If I pick something like this, the pink highlights my hair a lot more. It's very nice for certain sort of feelings you want to do. Or this way, where when you have a base color, like a gray or black, it will make those pop as if they are that. Plus, if you look, some of these are to the left and to the right. These are sort of levels to it. Dun, dun, dun. A lot of the gradients will rely on depth. Some of these, they will look good with other sort of formatted art. However, when it's like this, something like this, small and how it is, it will not look good. I really like funky color ones like this. Mind you, a lot of what you see on my videos and shorts, they're not exactly all that formal. They are doodles. However, when I actually do hardcore art, if you look at my Twitter and when I've done fan art, I will go into more detail in this. Like, kind of like this. This is more detailed than the shorts I do. And because the shorts I do on my channel, to which you should totally check them out, they form a little bit of RPG fun. I'm not liking a lot of these. However, I did like 16. So if you wanted to see the difference, if you forgot, you can just simply flip it. See, this is the original. I kind of just hit the little eyeball on the side. If you go over here to the right, it's saying you can't interact with it because I've hidden that layer. And then you can just like look between. So this looks a little bit better. In a lot of gradients anyways, you'd like to use them because when you use, say you could just use a G pen or something, it won't look like this when you write. So you color pick this and you do this, it won't look as nice as, oh well, I'm on the gradient layer, so it's not gonna look like that anyways. But gradients sort of put filters over it anyways, it makes it look nicer. But it only helps sometimes. You could use a pen to sort of correct adjustments. So that's what I'm going to do it a bit when I render. Render phase compared to art and video making is a little bit different, but it's more so all around the finishing touches to something. Say if there were parts I wanted to paint over using this gradient, I'll make little corrections, but it won't look as formal as this. That's why I do not do big corrections. The only way a big correction can work is if you put, say, you'll probably see this, if you go to this side and you have all these assets, if you use a gradient from here, like use not the mode tone, but if you use a color gradient, you could slap that over it. Like, okay, not the prints. But say you use this and you put it over it, it makes everything that texture anyways. I think this coloring is fine, but I do want to see another gradient. So what I do is I go to the original one on the side, duplicate that, make it around 50, because this gradient that I currently have over is at 50%. If I put it to 100, it'll look like that. I actually do kind of like that, but no, because we are combining things. I don't fully like using a gradient. I like to combine things. So this next layer, I kind of usually put it under this layer as the primary. because I like showing the depth of the primary layer. I picked the other one is more for flavor, so I put it as the undertone, so I'll put it directly under, because if you do switch them, it does change it, because it'll take the formatting from the layer that's on the top. So you will have this layer, like right here. The next layer will be the flavor layer, and this is your base layer, and you have these at 50% because you still want to retain the base layer. These are just adding different flavors. This is the flavor, this is the depth. So that's why you definitely want to copy your original for the second gradient, because if you copied the other one, it won't work. It'll just, well, it would, but it's just easier to do it this way. So because of that, oh, oh, 1 second. I have. There we go. Perfect, perfect. I had a little bit of oopsie, but that's fine. So the other screen, like you saw, there's nothing a mistake with that. You just seen one of my fan arts I'm working on, so I'll leave that there. That's fine. I don't care. But that is the other screen. The only reason I had an issue with that is because I was looking at my OBS screen rather than my actual screen in front of my face. To which the device I'm using to write on is the Wacom one. I like it. It is fairly small. And just kind of here formally. I mean, at least it was only that one fan art you saw. Who knows what else was there? All right. No. Oh, I kind of like that. It adds a bit of a warmth, but it does delete it. Let's see. I don't like that. It kind of makes it a bit washed out looking. Do you like that? I'm not sure if I'm going to add another. Because if I'm adding others, I don't really need more blending with these. Technically, you could add so many layers if you wanted to. However, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. If anything, if you wanted to make it more standing out, that flavor layer, you can leave it as the base look and just go to your, on the right side in clips to you, you'll see the layer sort of say normal, do the little drop down. You could hit multiply and that makes it a bit more how it is. And you could adjust that. But nah, I don't like how that looks. So we're just gonna delete that anyways. This looks pretty fine as it is to me. Because again, this is what it looks like with the 50% opacity gradient layer. This is it without. So it does make it look a little bit better. And realistically, if you saw this coming at you, you might have the feeling like you would like to bully it. Or I don't know, maybe you might feel a bit frightened. But this adds to the chaotic neutral part anyways. I can do a little roll up. I could do a certain hedgehog's movement and just roll, but I feel like it would launch itself with its own. The defensive maneuver, this would work. You have the chompers. You have talons. has a very flamboyant appearance, so you may think it's a bit more innocent, but then the red eyes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is get both color layers and combine them. So that way they are one formal thing. And now I will zoom in. So let's see here. I'll kind of delete things that don't work, like it's a little bit of overlap here. And with the overlaps necessarily, it doesn't matter when you have the white background. And usually people do a different color background to prevent that. But since I'm not exactly sure how things will look right now on stream, I wanted to keep it white so if it was buffering, it wouldn't look as pixelated. If I had it as a base color, it may start to look pixelated around. The white, at least, if it goes pixelated, you won't be able to tell as much. The picture itself would look pixelated, but I don't really mind that. Me. Also, if we do have people wondering, the chat settings for today were for subscribers of 5 minutes or longer, only because that this is a test stream. Future streams, I will have it fully public, to where you don't even have to be a subscriber to chat. But that's fine. I think this looks pretty fun, because other hiccups would be the liner itself. Actually, no. I lied. I'm a liar. This looks fun. If anything, this is what I mean. I would adjust things, because there's this. I like these colorings. This is fine. I'm not sure exactly what to call this yet, to be honest. I might think up some options and post a community poll or do a poll on Twitter. I'll probably do a poll on both just in case. I'm not exactly sure if this stream will do a little storytelling for it. I may just use it on a short to kind of explain it. That way it's there, but it isn't too long of a video. And I did have everything zoomed in for you for this stream, only so things weren't so distracting. Because seeing all my tools and things on the sides and layers, it can be a little bit overwhelming for some people. So at least this way, you only see the basic stuff. Yes. I think it's good now. So to go over the things that we covered over, I'll use green. First, we have sensitive fern. Sensitive fern, I showcased in different parts by coloring and by fluff. So because the fern is a bit, I don't know what you would call this. I don't want to use the word serrated, but it's lumpy. The fern looks like usual ferns. So to incorporate that, even though you really can't, especially because if the wings and the feathers were like this, they would be more like fluff feathers rather than formal flight feathers. And we need flight feathers, especially if it's Maybe you could say the texture of this is the tail. That may work. But I did the fluff for the chest piece, and like somewhere fluff feathers would make sense. The tush, the chest, the feet. The green I put, this was supposed to be a more basic green, like a little pastel. However, I do appreciate how the palette did kind of do this, and this still slowed down. That's fine. I'll go along with that anyways. Because when it was the pale green, it didn't look as good, but that's fine. That's why we use gradients. This, it also kind of made the horn a bit of a gradient, which I do enjoy that. Okay, and for the bird, let's use red for the eye. We have the eyeball. We have the sort of pattern. Well, usually for the Western grib, I don't know. Grib. It sort of has a pattern like this with black and white. However, I did it like that. We have the neck and the head. We did adjust this to be more of a chomper beak instead of a long form beak. Because it's not actually an aquatic bird for this. We used, where's the violet color? Like wine. For the dragon autumn, we use this for the feathers, this and the horn. I do like this plant. It reminds me a lot of corpse flowers and different things like that. However, it is a bit different. There's different species and subspecies of things. This one is a bit more fans out like this, especially the headpiece. Because it's a bird, I use that for the basic sort of thing. However, I changed up the feet. Instead of webbed feet, I gave it talons for grippers. I will probably have it like it is on the sidelines of a riverbank. Or not even a riverbank. A river would make it more of a muddy sort of embankment. It may even have a delta when it fills the river. However, for this, it's more of like a stream. Maybe someone thinks it's trying to get little crustaceans. But this is fine. That way, any weary travelers trying to get fresh water would see this and be like, what the fuck is that? Then they would try to go for it, and I don't know, maybe it does the barrel roll, or just slaps them with its head trying to stab it. I would say in comparison, if someone was, let's say someone was this tall, it would be about here. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like through their knees. Though the stick figure doesn't show it well with the legs, but you know. It is what it is. If anything, if someone tames one, they can have a good friend for a lap. But this way, it kind of does what it wants. Think flight-wise, I don't think it would have any issues flight-wise. Technically it could. It would probably be more of a gliding. Because with the tail and the headpiece, this would make it a bit more wind resistant. So it wouldn't be able to fly fast, but glide more. That way people also think it's more unassuming. And that way I don't want it to go too fast and impale itself into a wall. It can impale itself into someone else. It could dive bomb with its head forward. And then again, I have this sort of detaches a joint like a reptile would have. I think that's fine. Oh no, I just realized the music's off. Oh, it's been off the whole time. You know what? That's fine. Alrighty. I think that's it for today. If you've come to watch this during, or if you're watching the VOD back, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching the VOD, as long as you were here for. This will definitely be the end of it. I had fun. I hope you've had fun with our little bit of brainstorming for this creature. Honestly, I was going to do multiple prompts, but then I kept talking for this one. So this is just how it went. This little funky little guy is just how it went. I'm probably gonna do a little short and explain this creature, or either explain it or do a little storytelling for it. I'm not exactly too sure yet. I may just post it just by itself onto Twitter. But no, I need it needs a name first, and then I'll do that. Yes, that's what I'll do. I'll get a name situated. It may take till mid next week, maybe a couple days, who knows. We will see the responses from others. I will put the name on it, do the short, and it'll be just that. Alrighty. So we have made our creature. Let me zoom in on him. Our funky little friend. This is my child of creation. It kind of has the same gradients as me. So therefore it is my child. My horrid creature. I definitely wanted to keep the red eye for it. I think that's the funniest thing about that bird. I will likely do another art stream with different prompts. I may try to squeeze in some different gaming streams depending. I will look over my stream and see how the settings went to see if it worked well. I'll definitely try out different timings throughout the day, especially for my connection. There were a few times we dropped frames, but I believe I know the reason. And that's fine. It'll be a timing thing, if anything. I may even try to do different streams of creative sort of brainstorming things. And maybe even do a sort of story writing stream, depending on how this went, settings wise. I will have to look back at things, do a little bit of studying, and see how my quality was, time frames, and everything. And since I'm a little bit funky and bold, I may be trying to release more than I am now. So I may do a short later today, in fact. And I may even do this as a common occurrence of doing stream and doing video in a day, or multiple and this and that. And I do work a job, public job. However, this has been really fun for me. It's been very fun creatively and pushing myself to do something every day, even if it's small. And the fact that I have seen people that are returning and looking at shorts and commenting, it's very heartwarming. Because honestly, that is why I'm doing all this. I want to help spark the creativity for others and give them like a bit of a safe space to come to. Creatively wise, especially for audiences that are older. That is because I feel a lot of them get swamped with work, because I too do, and I have had moments where I would get swamped into work. I do get into depression and I do get very monotone. But there's no reason not to have fun and get into creative outlets. And because some of the, if you've paid attention to fandoms I follow on Twitter, and if you've seen the fan art I was working on, you would know things I am very excited over. But these are creators that have inspired me. Ones that I will literally watch, be super busy, deal with people. And I'm just like, why aren't I trying more? So here I am trying more. My niche is very storytelling. That much is formal. Art, there are better artists, but I like having fun with it. I don't care. So if you ever come by this video and you're just like, oh, that looks ugly, I know it does, but it's my ugly. I'm more proud of my storytelling, and I just use a sort of visual concepts in a way to help. I'm not so worried about making it look pristine, especially when it comes to the shorts. As long as my point gets across, I don't mind. I just don't want someone looking at blank screen. Then when it comes to gaming, I know I talk a lot, even if this is an art stream. However, for other things like games and stuff, I will try to keep the talking a little bit less, or maybe I won't be able to handle it. At least I won't talk during cinematic moments. I kind of do want to do more witch concept streams, magic discussion streams. We'll see. I'm very confident with how this setting wise went. And realistically, it doesn't really matter the outcome for these. It's more so testing limitations and testing my settings. So that's why I'll also be doing videos besides just this. This, I mean, if you're not here for the stream, you could always look up at the VOD, play it in the background or whichever. If you liked it, that's amazing. You don't have to be here the whole time and see that. I will cast it to the void if anything. Not delete wise, but it would be the void if there's no eyeballs on it. But I'm very confident. I think my settings did well for the most part. I know why I dropped frames a couple of times. I think it went well. So, here's where I tell you I forgot to make an ending screen. So I'll just end up going back to, actually it'll be funny, hold on. Let me just, oh no, don't, I'll do this. Let me just, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Oh no. Order. Ending. See you later. See you soon. And do a little cup instead of a cauldron. Hmm. That's fitting for an end. Yeah, you can see it. That's fitting for an ending string, right? Let me just draw on myself as well. I may just have little talking streams too at times, because this is also enjoyable to be able to just chit chat. I would have to think of some concepts or subjects, so I'm not just rambling on, unless it is enjoyable to just listen to me ramble on. I do apologize to those who missed this, because I do have a few regulars I was starting to notice. Hopefully they find this and enjoy the VOD anyways. I may not make a formal model, as in a live 2D VTuber model. I may just keep things PNG. Only for the fact that it's very time consuming to do that. And like I said before, I'm very picky. I think just using the Fugi, which is this reactive bit here, is fine enough for now. I don't really want to invest in getting too overlays too much, but I may just have to practice, because who knows, I may like it. At least for gaming streams, I should have a little bit more of an overlay sense, especially because when I play things like Final Fantasy 14, I do PvP at times as well. Let me just, you know what? Let me do this. Oh, oop. Okay, I can't move that. That doesn't look right. Okay, I'll just use the green. Future stream. Okay, maybe FF14. If you don't know what Final Fantasy 14 it is a wonderful MMORPG, which is mass multiplayer on the role-playing game. And basically, there's many people that play it, and you can see them walking around. RPG sense, it has a wonderful story. A lot of people dunk on the base game, which is a Realm Reborn, but I think Realm Reborn is vital. It may seem a little bit of a drag if you try to do the free trial, which the free trial does go up to Heaven's Ward, which is one of my favorite expansions, especially if you like medieval things and Gothic architecture and dragons. For any of my usuals that come around, if you do get to this point in the stream, if you want something fun, definitely check it out. Ranking wise of the expansions, ooh, it's really hard now. Heaven's Ward will always have a special place in my heart. However, Shadowbringers and Endwalker, man. I think Endwalker is pretty important because it is the final of these past 10 years of gameplay. And it's very big. And I'm not going to go on a big rant about Final Fantasy 14. Maybe if we do a little discussion stream. Otherwise, I could talk too long about it. Okay. More art stream. Art. I'll just put art. Yeah, that's fine. If you would like to see things like Hades game or Cult of the Lamb, I can also play those. I do like roguelike games. But I think it'd be more interesting to do more RPGs, MMORPGs, JRPGs, things that are heavily story based. So, Final Fantasy 14, art, chatting. I could probably do a story reading string. So, story reading, I will likely write something up from either something random or for different shorts or something, and then read it. Though I did have lore stuff I wanted to do for me for this channel, but I may just do that as a video rather than a stream, because I will be having a break away or out of the house for almost a week throughout this month consecutively, or no, not consecutively. So it'll be like 4 to 5 days during one week and then a couple days another week. However, I will schedule things to release because, like I said, I want to do things daily, maybe even multiple times a day. It has been a good outlet, even if it's not the greatest, but that's fine because imperfections is experience. Same concept when it comes to mistakes for me. I'm a bit older, so I don't believe mistakes are the end of the world. Mistakes oftentimes are gems that help us learn and grow. So I would definitely like to do concepts like that for chatting. That way people can always watch the VOD if they're having a time where they're upset or need something to listen to. I give my very chaotic wisdom from the years and how I'm an old person, an old soul. Half of my hair is grey. This is why I diet. This is why I have coffee. Technically, the art is over, but I'm having fun rambling on. Ugh. Story reading, though. I do have past things I've already made. I could probably read some of it. We'll see on that. Chatting, I will definitely do chatting because if anything I've realized from this stream, I very much like the chatting aspect. You will only be looking at my Fugi, so I may pick something. I may try to figure something out. And I'm not gonna install any longer because since the audio is over and I don't want to switch screens. Hopefully you're playing some music in the background while listening to me. Next time I will remember to put it on loop and to make sure the correct music is playing, because I had the feeling I was playing the wrong one. However, do look at my description and use the link for the music That is the credit for the music that was playing. Then the stinger is one. It was made on Etsy by JordbearArt. It wasn't custom to me, but it was wonderful. They have a lot of custom things, especially if you want to get into things. The fugi, I just quickly scrambled together late at night with nothing to do. A lot of other things I will likely make myself or learn how to make. I may want to learn how to make my own stinger transitions. But for this, I think that was fine. Okay, so if I do Final Fantasy 14, I will likely go into depth over the story and take my time. Then for it, I may do leveling of different classes on the side, unless you really want to see that off stream or on stream. Especially because I want you to experience the class quest for yourself, not from me. Regular story you can experience from me. That's fine. But I will literally ramble forever about Final Fantasy 14. Literally. Art-wise, if you want to see different sort of art streams, let me know. However, most of them will probably be the creature creation or otherwise something else. Maybe a challenge. We will see. Chatting. If this ending stream is any concept, I will literally talk forever about anything. And I hope it would be entertaining for you. Story reading. Likely it will be stuff made from the channel for this channel. However, I may just make some miscellaneous things and do it. Lore, I will eventually be releasing sometime soon, but that will be video rather than stream. So, have a good day. Enjoy.